All right, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Torch. This is episode 4 and we're back in my studio, Classic 33 in Huntington Beach. My name is Hoobs. If you guys don't know, today we're going to be showing you guys a little bit more sculptural work. I'm finishing up some more pieces for a show that I have coming up, and we just wanted to go into a little bit more of the process of what goes into sculpting these pieces, and a little bit more into the starting stages and how we go from the sticks of colored glass that we showed you last episode to kind of fully worked sections that we can begin to shape into the sculpture. So today I'm finishing up these pieces. I have a handful of sculptures that I'm doing kind of on the same theme as last time. It's just a bunch of childhood like characters from toys or comic books or anything that I kind of enjoyed in my past. I'm just bringing to life in my own little twist with some of these glass characters. So yeah, just gonna show you guys some of that. I wanted to explain a little bit on the process of actually melting the glass this time. So you'll see us when we hold the glass inside the flame that we're constantly spinning it, constantly rotating it. It's basically because gravity plays a huge role in the melting of glass. Once the glass turns to a molten state, it just starts dripping with gravity. So the only way to keep it on the handle that we're holding that molten piece to is to constantly spin it, and so we never are able to stop rotating. And if you stop rotating for 1 second while that glass is hot, you'll see it just drip straight down to the table. So that's one thing that we're constantly battling is gravity, and you know, you've got to constantly stay moving and just have this flow with the piece the whole time you're working on it. So it could be an intense like 8-hour process, but you know, you can never stop moving, and it's something that after so many years it becomes kind of second nature. You don't really have to think about it as much. It's just kind of, you know, something that you do naturally, and that helps you kind of think more advancedly about what you're doing in the process that you're working on. Basically, like looking at one of these pieces that I finished recently, you can see that there's a ton of different colors that we use in these pieces, and colors have been getting developed for this medium pretty heavily over the last like 15 years or so. And I would say that within the last 5 years, we've really had a big jump in what's available. So most of these colors that we're using in these pieces have been around for 5 years, maybe less. So there hasn't been a lot of experimentation done with them, and for the most part what we're doing with them hasn't really ever been done before. So it's a lot of trial and error to try and get these things to work together. But basically with the colored glass, all the chemistry of each color is a little different. I'm not going to go into depth to explaining that just yet, but basically the chemistry will make the color melt a little bit differently, each color. Some will be a little bit more fluidy, and others will be a lot more stiff, and trying to combine the two and work them together is really difficult, because one will be melting at a certain viscosity while one is staying much stiffer, and you've got to try and get the heat base into both those colors in a way that you can manipulate the glass the way you want it to. So that's a huge challenge in working with Boro, is each color, you know, is really its own monster, and you've got to figure it out individually, and then you've also got to figure out how to combine them together. So it's a lot of trial and error and testing and things like that before you can even get to applying it to a piece like this. You know, I spent probably 4 days on, 40 hours, and you know, at any given time something could happen and you can lose that whole piece, and you're starting from beginning. So it's one of the things that's really tough about this medium is, you know, the fact that we could spend days or weeks on a project and have it break and have nothing to show for it in the end. So it could be very frustrating at times, and you just gotta stick with it, and hopefully, you know, it all works out for you in the end. So I wanted to get into some of the questions that you guys have been posting on our feed. I'm not going to really answer any ones that pertain to technique or anything like that just yet. Like I said earlier, we're going to be releasing a whole series of videos that are going to go deeply into technique, step-by-step stuff, specifically for you glassblowers. But you know, this I want to just kind of make about the art form and you know, more general questions. But one good question we had was someone asked me what was the most I think satisfying piece or that I've ever made, and it's hard to say, but for me the most satisfying pieces that I make are ones that I have never done before, anything like it, and it's something new for me, and it's a challenge for me, and it's something kind of unknown that I'm trying, and it's very satisfying when you do something like that and you put a lot of time and effort into it and it actually works out. So you know, those types of pieces are really my favorite to work on, and also any type of real big collaboration. Recently, last summer, we did one of my biggest collaborations to be involved in with 18 different artists, a huge pirate ship. And you know, as far as I can think, like that's probably the best time I've had working on a project, and everybody that was involved in that project, you know, really felt the same way, and we were all just like glowing after it. We just had a great time and feeding off of one another. It's always fun to be able to feed off of each other and collaborating, which has been a huge part of this industry and its growth. And actually next episode we'll be talking a bunch about collaborating and having our first guest artist, so more on that. But as far as everything else, just want to say thank you guys for checking in with Torched again, and we're hopefully going to keep bringing you some dope content. So yes, check out this episode and all the past episodes, and shoot us any questions or comments. Thanks again, guys.